So now they got okay. So here's the thing. So obviously we got the three of them, the two Anguses, the two Youngs,
Yep.
Bon, and then we got drums and bass. But this is the thing with ACDC. This is not a drum and bass band.
No.
No. If you're looking for sick drum beats and dope bass lines, ACDC is not the band for you.
No.
This is a guitar band.
Yes.
Through and through.
Rhythm and lead.
So, honestly, like, we're not going to be talking about the drums and the bass too much.
No.
It just is what it is with this band.
But shout out to Phil on the drums because he's been there forever.
Shout out to Phil. We'll get to him later for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they went through a few bass players before eventually, I think Cliff was who they, like, really settled on as, like, their permanent one.
Right.
So they're in Australia. Now they have the band together, and they're recording, and they're putting out albums, and, like, basically every single album they put out, they just slowly got bigger and bigger.
Yep.
They were touring more and more. They were doing bigger and bigger venues, and they became known as, like, the fucking bad boys of Australian rock.
Yeah.
Because they were legit about it.
Yeah.
They fucking partied.
They did. And they partied hard. And they all moved into a house together. And they were like, everything went down in that house, which was crazy. We didn't really talk about the band name, but if you're fans, of course, you know the band name why it is the way it is. Like,
should we talk about Margaret now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's go for it.
Because she had a huge amount to do with a lot of their success, really.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm finding out through my research. Like, ACDC is a family. Like, it's not
100%.
about, like, just two guys in a studio. And
100%.
Stuff.
So should we talk about the name or the outfit first?
The name. The name.
Because they're actually related.
They are.
Okay, so the name thing is actually really funny.
Uh-huh.
So literally they were all throwing around names or whatever, and they couldn't think of anything. And Margaret was like using her sewing machine, and she like saw on the back of the machine that it said ACDC, which means alternating current / direct current, in electrical terms. And she just said that, and they were all kind of like, huh. Kind of like that.
Yep.
So they went with it. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing about the name is they didn't realize the other meaning of that name.
Yes. Yes.
And I saw the interview with Malcolm. He's like, yeah, so we decided it was AC/DC, and then, like a few weeks later, like we were in a cab or something telling the cab driver about the band name, and they were like, AC/DC? What are you, gay or something? And they were like, what are you talking about? And he was like, AC/DC, like a tranny. Like, what are you? You're a bunch of trannies in the band, and they were just like, do we have to change the name now? They didn't, obviously, but
they did not.
I thought that was hilarious.
That is funny.
But
yeah. So they got the name like that, and then
speaking of Margaret's sewing machine, what happened with the sewing machine?
So now they needed something else, right? Some shock value. It's the 70s. It's rock and roll. There's a lot of shock stuff going on.
And the glam shit was not theirs.
It was not.
So they needed something different.
Exactly. So they didn't want to be Kiss, and they didn't want to be Peter Gabriel. Like, they didn't want to wear a wolf's head on stage and stuff. So
they didn't want to be Jethro Tull and play flutes.
They're like, what else could we do? And these aren't like huge, big, bulky guys. So Margaret says to Angus, well, I think your school uniform will fit you. Why don't you just put it on and give it a try? Now this is where, like, I think this is like some funny shit. This is some huge family shit. Like, if you have like a good amount of cousins or like family members, if you've ever like sat around, jokes just fly around for no reason.
Yeah.
Right? And then like little silly things happen. So like I feel like this is one of those moments. Like, she was just like kind of joking in a way.
Yeah, wear your fucking schoolboy outfit.
Throw it on.
He's like, yeah.
He's like, I'm actually gonna put it on. He puts it on, and the rest is history. Can you say that?
Kind of. I do want to go back to something, though, because I actually found out about... I don't know how true this is, but this is something that I heard, and if it's true, it's actually really kind of sad.
What?
Why they're so short.
What?
I heard that, like, when they were growing up, like, their water was, like, contaminated with lead and shit.
Like
it's
a possibility.
I don't know. Obviously, I don't know that for sure, but I saw a story that was like, yeah, that's partly why they're so short. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fucked up.
So why are other people so short?
I don't know. Bad genes.
Why is Prince short?
Lead. No. Zeppelin? No. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but whatever.
Me neither.
So, but they are super short.
They're very small.
Angus and Malcolm are just munchkins of men. Like, I heard that they vacation on the Yellow Brick Road.
You are so silly. I thought you were going somewhere with that. I was like, where?
Is that rude? But no, like, literally, Angus is like 5'2", Malcolm's like 5'3".
Yeah.
They're very small.
Very
but that's
small.
also why you can wear your fucking schoolboy uniform as a grown adult into your 70s. Like, and that's the only reason it's even kind of like cool in a way. Because if he was like a grown ass man wearing a schoolboy uniform, it'd be like, what the?
No.
But when you're just this tiny guy, it's like, oh, and you're like, Angus's stage presence to me always felt like a wind up toy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just. And then you just let him go. So like the combination of that with him being small with the uniform, it just. You couldn't have planned that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I remember, like, as a little girl first seeing that, like, I do, like, because those videos would come on, like, VH1 and stuff like that all the time. And I remember the first thing saying is, like, the uniform. Like, laughing at the uniform. One, because I wore one forever. So, like, it just stuck out to me. But the fact that he's, like, wilding out on stage in that uniform, like, I mean, that was great. Like.
Yeah. It's so cool. And it's so classic that Angus, because of... Well, he would have been a big part of the band, obviously, because he rips a guitar.
Yeah.
But him in that uniform, he basically became the mascot of the band.
Yeah. And isn't that funny when he's like, he and his brother are like the brains. You know what I mean? They're like the founders. And it's just like, that's just so interesting and so great the way it is. And everything... It's almost like everything he did was calculated, even into the guitar he plays. Because he was like, well, I had to pick that one. Because I couldn't get anyone bigger because I would break a hip if I was like playing that the way he plays on stage and stuff like that. And I remember wanting that guitar too.
The SG?
Yes. And I remember, I think I said it to you and you were like, the one with the devil horns? And I was just like, wait.
I mean, that is kind of what it is.
That is what it looks like. And I was like, I don't know if I want it.
Okay. So, all right. So, yeah. So that's how the band name happened. That's how the schoolboy uniform happened. That's how all this happened. So now you got Bond, you got the boys. Everything's going well. Every album they put out, they're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're finally starting to, like, crack into other markets. Yeah. And, like, I heard, like, their friends were saying, like, it was clear they were too big for just Australia.
Yeah, because it became, like, girls were chasing them and stuff like that. And, like, they... didn't want to be like the Beatles, you know what I mean? So they didn't want to be like a teeny bopper band and stuff, which is why I love them even more, you know?
Because they're all about that down and gritty rock and roll. That's the whole thing. They were like, they weren't saying like, we'd want to do anything. They were just like, we want to play rock and roll.
Yeah.
Harder than anyone around.
Yep.
And that's what they did.
Yeah.
And I got side note, this is actually, I almost forgot about that. Their songs are so... The power in their songs is the simplicity. Mm-hmm. And they're not doing, like... Well, this guitar solos are great. But, like, the rhythm guitar and, like, all... It's not too crazy. It's just, you know, it's rock to its bare bones. And it's almost, like, the same idea of punk in a way. Mm-hmm. But it's not punk music.
No.
But it's really cool. Like, because it's so simple, it leads to things like... I remember this while we're doing this. Like... Highway to Hell is the first song that I ever tried to play on guitar when I was a little kid.
Cool.
Because I remember listening to acdc, and I had listened to other music before, but I'd never played anything. But I remember hearing Highway to Hell, and I'm just like, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, I feel like I could do that. You know what? That doesn't seem so hard.
Yeah.
So my parents had like a shitty like nylon string guitar, like just in the back room somewhere, and I just grabbed it. I'm like, let me see if I could do... And, like, that is the first time I ever played guitar.
Cool.
Because of Angus.
Yay.
And Malcolm. And all the boys from Down Under.
So great. I remember I was watching some interview, and they were like, well, the power of ACDC is, like, like you were saying, simplistic and stuff, but they were like, it's like the unison too, because it's like the whole band playing a groove at the same time, and that's their strength, as opposed to other bands where he's like, you would have like 4 different components. Like you're waiting to hear, let's put Zeppelin out there. You're waiting to hear what Robert's going to do separately from Jimmy, what John is going to do separately from John, like, you know, so, but like with AC/DC, it's like you're singing all the hooks at the same time.
Yes.
The groove is beating at them, and you're all together like with them, and like that's their power, like unison. Like.
Yes, and that's a great point, because it's something I was thinking about all day today. Is that's also a reason why Malcolm is so important.
Yes.
Because he holds everything down.
Yes.
Like he leads the rhythm section in a way that I didn't understand for like a long time, because I was so, you know, distracted by all the awesome shit that Angus was doing.
Yes.
But I'm like, oh no, like Malcolm really holds it down. And the other thing about them is like the chanting vocals for all the choruses.
Yeah.
Like the choruses come in and the whole highway to hell, and it's like all of them singing at the same time, and that's what it feels like kind of a chant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've never seen AC/DC live, unfortunately, but I imagine it's just so easy to sing along to all of their songs.
There you go.
Because of that.
Yeah.
Because even just listening to the record, you feel like it's a bunch of people saying it.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah, it's true. That's true, and you want to be part of it.